Welcome to Legion Radio, a podcast about all things e-commerce, the official podcast of the private label Legion, hosted by Tim Jordan.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Legion Radio, the official podcast of the private label Legion, where we talk all things e-commerce, try to give you good content, and if we don't do that, we at least hope to entertain you a little bit. So today I have Yoni. Yoni, how do you pronounce your last name? Because I will mess it up.
Mazur.
All right, Yoni Mazur. Yoni is one of those hardcore, I'm not allowed to say badass, am I? I think I just did.
It's your show. Right. It's your,
Yeah, so Yoni's got a really cool story. He comes from the Israeli Defense Force. He was in, what did you call it? Kind of the top secret Naval Intelligence Service was kind of the explanation you gave me. Is that right?
It's called SNI, Special Navy Intelligence. So we used to go out into all these special missions. I can't say beyond that, but it was special. The whole thing was very special.
So essentially, Yoni is a badass, and now he runs the company Getita, and Getita is it's like a refunds gathering service. We'll talk a little bit more about that specifically for Amazon. But he comes to this business not intentionally. I think it was kind of accidentally. And it started out by being a $20 million a year Amazon seller running just massive volume through Amazon and figuring out little problems along the way and creating solutions for his own business, which then in turn led to a really great solution for everybody else's business. So Yoni, can you kind of walk us through, all right, you're like in naval intelligence in Israel. What happens after that? Like, what leads you down this road to selling on Amazon? That seems kind of like an interesting lead.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Let's backtrack a little bit. I was born and raised in Israel, but my mother was American, so I always had my family here. So pretty simply, after the Army, after my service, I went to the States to study. And then when I was studying in college, I had to get rid of my textbooks. So lo and behold, I started selling them on Amazon. That was my first taste of selling on Amazon. I started selling books, much like the Amazon story, in its smallest form. So I did that, and then I got used to the platform. And on the side, I started to look for other things to sell on Amazon because it was very up and coming. This was like 2010, 2011, almost about 10 years ago. And then along the years, we were able to find a good source of suppliers to keep rolling it out. And it grew to such a degree that where I had to basically add a different job doing distribution of supplements in the tri-state area, in the New York area. And I had to basically do this full time. It was 0 to 3 million or 0 to 6 million within a year or two. It was like a volcano in the early years. So yeah, that's how I kind of rolled into Amazon from the Navy.
Gotcha. So by accident, because you were a poor college kid.
Yeah.
Dude, I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
So 2010, 2011, that puts you in like OG status of Amazon sellers, right? Did you ever guess that it would influence your life the way it has? I mean, Amazon is literally your entire professional life right now.
Yeah, I did not expect it at all. I'll be honest. In those days, I was more interested, about eBay. I was also selling on eBay. So what happened was I was kind of trying the Amazon, which was kind of up and coming. So today, if you're selling on Amazon, you might be feeling that maybe Walmart is up and coming or Rakuten or something like that. It was kind of that feel back in the day. And I wish I bought the stock, Amazon stock back in the day, because that would be a great investment. But I was able to taste the Amazon success from the inside, being a seller. So that was a unique experience I did not expect it at all. But I'm happy they swallowed me in. It's a very fun experience so far.
So as I understand it, you were selling a combination of your own brands and other people's brands, but you quickly started going internationally, right? Like, didn't you start selling on multiple platforms internationally? Tell us kind of how that process started, briefly, because I know a lot of people sell on Amazon, .us or .com in the US, and they do fine. And they're just thinking like, maybe now is the time to start expanding internationally. But it sounds like you've been doing that for years, right?
Yeah, the UK opened up for us mentally pretty quickly. It was in English. We saw that the margins there are pretty healthy as well. So I think it was already 2014 or 15, we started selling in the UK. And then that opened up Germany and the whole of Europe. Then Canada opened up, then Mexico. We also back in the day had our own website. So we get a lot of international orders on our website. We used to basically open up the website. It was back in the day, it was BigCommerce. Later on, we upgraded to Shopify, but we always had the ability to ship internationally from the website as well. So the international experience was pretty quick, pretty early, and it was lucrative. It was profitable.
So you guys are doing, towards the peak of this thing, around $20 million a year annually. Tell us how you started to realize that Amazon was, I won't say ripping you off, because that would kind of imply that it's malicious, although sometimes I feel like it is malicious, but that Amazon was basically holding a lot of your money or leaving a lot of your money on the table. Tell us how that realization kind of started for you.
It actually started from the first shipment to FBA, because we first started selling on Amazon. It wasn't on FBA, and then once we realized there's an FBA program, I remember we invested a lot of money. It was our own money. I have a partner, Max, which is today my partner with Gatita, and we're so nervous about sending products to this body called Amazon. We call them, we asked them, who are you guys? What kind of insurance is there on the products if it gets lost, damaged, or anything like that? And they said, oh, look, here's the terms of service of the whole FBA program, and there's there's coverage, there's reimbursements if anything does happen. So we read through it. We're very anal from the get-go about all the wordings and the policies. And lo and behold, the first shipment that we sent in, there was a discrepancy, and we had to open a case. And then they did provide reimbursements, which gave us a lot of relief, realizing that this is a real deal. Amazon is not a rogue player. In fact, it's a very honest player and honest body. I think nothing's done maliciously at all by Amazon. I think it's just a big numbers game. I think Amazon does an amazing job 97, 98, maybe even 99% of the times with your inventory and your products. But that 1%, 2%, or 3% of discrepancies is just big numbers, because the marketplace is in the hundreds of billions. And that's how we kind of come into play, just assisting with that framework. So yeah, from the first shipment, not only just the first shipment, once the products were in the warehouse, we also used to track and monitor them very early on, what's going on. And then we figured out that there's times in the warehouse where things are just not there. All of a sudden they're not there, or they get lost or damaged. So as we're building up volume, we couldn't really sustain monitoring this manually. So we had to build a technology in the back end to do it with big numbers, a lot of data, massive data. Also, luckily for us, a lot of people on my team were developers. So we're able to, group them together and create this helpful technology that helped us scale up all the auditing and the procedures of opening of cases with Amazon. Which what happened was, effectively, our friends from the industry kind of doing the same volume. We told them that we have this solution. So they're they asked very nice. They said, "Can you help us out?" Help us out. It will be really helpful. So we did. And for the first few years, we were doing this for our friends from the industry. It was low key, just for our friends, and it was so successful that after a few years, we had to ask ourselves, what are we going to do with this? I don't want to say side hustle, but with this unit that we have, which is very helpful to others. Do we just keep it like this, or we just we launch it out? And we decided to launch it out about 2-3 years ago. And since then, the ride was has been very, very amazing for us.
So 2 or 3 years, you've been operating this thing that you never expected to operate, but you found your own solution for your own problems, for your own business, and kind of made it mass market. So in the past 2 or 3 years since you launched, how many different Amazon accounts do you think that you have retrieved some sort of reimbursement for? Do you have any idea what that number is?
Oh, we retrieved along the years, probably tens of millions of dollars along the years. I think we started around 2015, which makes it almost 4 or 5 years. We just changed the year, so I'm a little confused about the cutoff. I think 4 or 5 years. I can just we tend to look at it a bit differently right now. Right now, we track and monitor and audit more than $2 billion a year worth of Amazon sales worldwide, not just the U.S. And out of that, we're able to assist in recovering millions of dollars yearly. To sellers that basically there's the market kind of cuts into two. The first half of the market is not even aware that there's discrepancies. They just, they think everything's going well. So there's a certain shock element when they realize there's, actually discrepancies that they need to account for and make sure they secure. And the other half is the players that already know about it. They have some sort of an outfit to take care of it, which is great. And we do recommend anybody to have an outfit on making sure that you have auditing on your account and making sure everything's intact. And for them, we tell them whatever you have, you can keep having it. That's fine. And whatever you left out or you did not find, we'll make sure to sweep on our end to make sure there's maximum recovery on what you're eligible on your account.
And I found that interesting when I met with you because a lot of companies want the low hanging fruit, and there are some other reimbursement retrieval companies and solutions out there, but they want that low hanging fruit. They don't want to dive too deep. And it was interesting that you said, we don't care if it's already been picked over. We don't care if there's been 2 other companies that have, scanned these accounts to get the easy refunds, because we feel like we can do so much better of a job that we will find the stuff that people missed or dropped the ball on or left out. And, you do that basically, with no upfront initial cost, which I feel like if you weren't doing a good job, you wouldn't keep offering that, because you get paid a percentage of what you're able to retrieve. So it's kind of low risk. So I think it would be safe to say that you guys feel at least like you're very analytical, very technical, that you can really dive deep. You've done tens of millions of dollars, and managed, you said, what, $2 billion of sales, that you've actually reviewed. So I think it's safe to say you've taken a huge look at, this overall industry and what Amazon is missing. So what I'd like to do is, and I think it's going to be great content for everybody that's listening, let's talk about some of the most common areas that you see people getting stiffed by Amazon. All right. So basically, for all of you listening and you're not familiar with what reimbursements are, if you send your stuff into Amazon FBA and they lose your stuff, they charge you for shipping that didn't actually happen. They damage your stuff in the warehouse. There's a huge list of reasons. Let's say ideally, in an ideal world, Amazon would say, oh, we owe you this money, but that doesn't happen. So what we have to do is we have to file these reimbursement requests, and it can get very, very technical, trying to figure out all the reconciliation of all of these different aspects of Amazon, the inbound and outbound shipping, the customer returns, the warehouse stuff, the overcharges. There's a million different things. So that being said, Yoni, would you tell us like the most common reasons that Amazon needs to reimburse sellers?
So the way we look at it is we have the basics that every seller can relate to and understand. And also, so that was part of our experience early on. You want to send 1,000 units into Amazon's warehouse. So you send 1,000 units. And when they finally receive it and you want to reconcile what they received, you see that they only received 990 units. So this particular junction, you have the option to open a case and tell Amazon, here, let's reconcile this. What's going on? Please investigate. So they go out and investigate. And if they find the 10 units, everything's good. There's no harm done. But if they investigate and then they say that, they cannot find the 10 units, they're pretty much lost, they're going to provide a reimbursement. And when they do provide a reimbursement, they pay you as if you sold it on Amazon. They're not going to give it to you with your cost. They're going to give it to you as if you sold it retail on Amazon. That's very important to know for people listening and not familiar with this function.
Yeah, so essentially you make the same amount of profit as if it had sold.
Exactly.
Not just reimbursing you for the product, which I think Amazon goes above and beyond on that. I think that's really, really generous of them.
Right, it connects to what I was saying, that Amazon is a very fair player, and it's a trusted body for a reason. But this also highlights a very important point for all the sellers to understand, that if you don't reconcile your inventory and make sure you audit and maximize whatever you're eligible for, for your discrepancies, you're basically losing twice. right? The first thing you're losing is your cost of goods, basically your investment. You invested into these products to get an ROI, a return on investment. And the second thing you're losing is your profit. Because when you do get reimbursed, you get reimbursed as if you sold it on Amazon. So it's very crucial that sellers do as much as they can to reconcile and audit and making sure that they're managing any discrepancies on their account. And that's fine if they do it well. That's very good. And reach out, do an outreach to other service providers out there, trusted ones that can help them with the reconciliation as well. It happens to be the Getida is one of them, so we'll be happy to help if anybody's needed. But if you go to Amazon's App Store and Seller Central, you'll find the service providers. You'll find this as well, also there. And just you owe it to yourself, because if you're eligible for it and it's money on the table that you're leaving behind, you didn't know. Like I said, you're losing twice, so you make sure not to do so. And you owe it to yourself as a business, because you work hard enough. Might as well just making sure that you cover that corner.
I'd never thought about it as the losing twice, losing your investment and your profit. So inbound shipments, you said, is one of them. What is another area that people are frequently losing money, don't realize it, and they can get reimbursed for?
Right. So as the units are in the warehouse, there's a lot of, it's very hectic in Amazon's FBA center. Just as a side note, if anybody wants to go to an Amazon FBA tour, they should look for it on Google. There's tours. Many of the centers, they just open up. So wherever you live, whatever state, try to check it out. They'll give you a better idea of what's going on with the inventory, how it looks like from the inside. But things keep shifting and moving around. So, things could just simply get lost. You had it in a certain bin, and then orders, they picked a unit, right, for an order. And instead of picking one, they picked another one. And that unit along the way fell and just got lost in the warehouse. Or they had to move the area. They wanted to clear it up. So they moved for another area. And along the way, things also got lost, or something fell on the floor and got damaged. So all these typical logistical issues that we are all familiar with from, if you work, I don't know if the sellers here do mostly 3PL or not, but back in the day for myself, I was in the warehouse, grinding it. So I was very familiar with all the aspects of the issues. So that happens. Also, another popular thing, not popular, but a common issue is when they move your units from one fulfillment center to another. They can be moving it from Kentucky to California, for example, for whatever reason. They have, their algorithm. They want to get better coverage of your products in California because they see it's getting more popular there. So during the transitions, things can also get lost, damaged, or destroyed. And that's on the logistical fulfillment center issues. Other issues can be when Amazon sends it to the customer, things can get lost in transit as well. And when a customer sends it back to Amazon, also things can get lost or damaged, or all these friction points of movement. Every friction point, might be a chance for some sort of discrepancy, and you got to make sure to cover that, inspect for that at all times.
Gotcha. So it's pretty easy to get engaged with you guys, right? Just Getida.com, and you'll do a free analysis. Basically, you'll go in. It doesn't cost anything up front. I know there are listeners that are part of our community that do several million a year on Amazon and have a service, and I'm going to let them know, hey, let Getida come in and see if they can find anything else, because it's basically free money. And you guys do take a percentage of that 25%, because obviously you have to run your operations and make your money. But if there is not anything to be reimbursed, then it doesn't cost anybody out of pocket, which I think is super, super important. And I know a lot of people that originally started reimbursement services under that model, and they've stopped. And they stopped because they weren't good, right? They went out of business because they weren't finding enough to be reimbursed. So I think the fact that you guys are still operating off that model probably is a good indicator that you can find a lot of stuff left on the table and still find a lot of valuable reimbursement money out there. So I know that when we first got on, you said that you wanted to basically do some work absolutely for free to try to get people to try you guys out. So for all of you that are listening, what Yoni has done is he's put together a promo code, and the promo code is Legion 400, because the first $400 that they recover for you is going to be free. So I told you normally they charge $25. So if they recovered $400, they charge
25%.
25%. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yep. So for the first $400 they recover for you, it's going to be completely free if you use the promo code and you sign up of Legion 400. So make sure to take advantage of that. We've got the link. We've got the code in the show notes below if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening on one of the other just audio only that doesn't have show notes, just remember it. Legion 400 Getida. Yoni, anything else that you can share? And by the way, thank you for doing that. That's not something we asked for, everybody. That's something that he offered for free. So is there anything else that you can give us as far as, some of these insights in your deep analytical ex-Navy intelligence officer, $2 billion seen mind, like anything else that you can share with us as sellers that will help make us better?
Okay, so two things I want to share. The first thing is just kind of technical, just to highlight on the experience of being with us, and the second thing will be a little nugget. So the first thing is when you sign up to Getida, you'll see that very quickly you're gonna onboard into a dashboard, and in the dashboard you're gonna get some visibility. You're gonna get visibility of how much potential financial recovery we estimate on your account. That's pretty easy to see. And there's other data points on the SKU level, for example, of types of issues that you're having with your SKU. That's like it's a freemium. That dashboard point, there's no charge for it. Anybody can log into Getida and enter the dashboard, and it's completely free. And then if they want to add on the Getida service for reimbursements, they can add that on. That's fine. It's optional. But that data helps you with visibility. So you can see that one of these SKUs that you have has a lot of issues with being damaged. So you can take that data point and then operationally, right, say to yourself, hey, why is it getting damaged? Maybe I need to, package it differently. I need more padding, or when I go to China and manufacture it, the way that the box is set up, maybe I can do something there on the operational level to prevent those issues from happening in the first place. So one of our key things that we like to assist with our community, our Getida clients, is not only the money game of getting maximum recovery, it's also perfecting your game. Making sure that you are a top-notch seller, you are able to use data to really improve your operation and your game. And that's just part of the experiences as well. Another thing I wanted to mention is that today we also branched out. We don't just do only Amazon auditing. We also do auditing for traditional brick and mortar. So if you're selling to Walmart, selling to Target, things of that nature, we do have a team that is capable of auditing all that. On that function, it's called chargebacks. You send $1 million in, they say, hey, you didn't package it correctly, and we want to charge you back $30,000. And then if you have everything in place, all your data in place, you submit it to the retailer, and they say, oh, we're sorry, we're going to eliminate that chargeback. That's just a little side note on how we branched out from the regular FBA. Here's a little nugget, though. That's a little nugget that I promised. Some of you sellers might have opened up a shipment to FBA, right? And then for whatever reason, you did not use it. You actually opened another shipment and you shipped it there. So if you already paid for the carrier to the UPS or FedEx or whatever it is, and you did not, basically, let's track back. You paid for it and you didn't use it, and then you open another shipment to finalize. That shipment, basically, you're eligible to get the money back. So what you should do is, it's very hard to get it. So what you need to do is open a case to Amazon, so they make sure they reimburse you for that. And there's no limit, there's no expiration on that type of recovery. So that's a little nugget. If any of you experience that issue, make sure that you go there and get that recovery. It can be a few $100s. Sometimes it could be a few $1,000s if you want to ship a few pallets in. So make sure that on that corner you also have good coverage. And if not, we can help with that as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of people are looking at their Amazon returns. They're looking at their inbound, like their actual inventory. But once you accept a shipment, Amazon charges your account for it. And a lot of people forget that. So there are a lot of shipments that you paid for that were never actually executed, especially people that mess around with their pallet quantities. They're trying to get, this consolidated into one pallet to go to this fulfillment center. A lot of times they're setting up multiple shipments trying to get them to, stick where they want them. And if you mess up there and you accept a shipment that you don't actually execute, a pallet shipment could be $80, it could be $150. And if you've been doing this for a while, they're doing large volume, there could be a ton in there. Another thing that you need to especially be paying attention to is if you use a 3PL. If you use a 3PL that's packaging and shipping your products or just shipping your products, they've got employees that are in there setting up those shipments for you. And a lot of times they'll accept a shipment and they don't understand that shipment's getting charged. They don't understand maybe that, that money's coming out of your pocket. They're just trying to get their job done. So they might be rushing through it. So this is especially beneficial for you to understand if you're using a 3PL, because they're more likely to accept a shipment that isn't executed than if you're doing it yourself. So
right. I just want to highlight that even if you canceled your shipment on the module on Sell Essential, it does not refund or reimburse you for the carrier. You got to make sure you do it independently on a different case. So maybe sellers think, oh, I canceled it, I'm going to get the money back. No, unless you open a case specifically to ask for the funds back, you're going to get. If not, it's a pretty much a loss. So that's a little nugget for anybody you're looking for getting additional value on their on the operational level on Amazon.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you, Yoni. We're coming to the time to close this thing, but for all of you that are listening, remember Getida.com, GETIDA.com. If you're not using Getida yet, they're going to give you your first $400 of reimbursements for free. So that's a 25% basically gift to you. If you're using another service and you're having other people scraping your account and getting reimbursements already, if you're doing it yourself, that's fine. Let Getida come back and follow up and do a kind of additional analysis and reconciliation. If there's money hanging out there, it's basically free money back in your pocket. So no risk, really nothing to lose. Check it out. If you are watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to this on whatever your podcast distributor of choice is, make sure to jump over to Facebook and join the Private Label Legion Facebook group. Ask any questions, post comments in there. A really good group. We try to keep all the spam out of there and make sure that it's professionally moderated and monitored so that it's good content. Like the Facebook page, subscribe to us on YouTube, Private Label Legion, and of course, go to Getida.com, check them out, and we've got links and that promo code again in the show notes below. Yoni, anything else before we sign off here? One 10-second salutation.
Yeah, it's a new business year to 2020. I wish everybody, lots of luck, a good, successful business year, and really all the best. I thank you so much for having me here, for this opportunity. It's been a pleasure. Awesome.
Thank you all for listening to Private Label Legion's podcast, Legion Radio, and we will check you out on the next episode.
You've just wrapped up another episode of Legion Radio, hosted by Tim Jordan. Past episodes, links, and show notes can be found at privatelabellegion.com.